At a busy junction, you'll often find traffic lights, which are there to help ease the flow of traffic through the junction.
As a cyclist, there are a number of things you need to remember in order to safely use these traffic lights.
Let's review the basic meaning of each kind of traffic light.
If a traffic light is green, you're allowed to cross the solid white stop line.
If the light turns amber, it's about to turn red. This means you should stop if you have enough time to do so.
Finally, we all know that red means stop.
When a red signal is followed by red and amber together, you should get ready to go.
But don't ride off until the light turns green. After red and amber, you're back to a green light.
One guess what that one means.
At pelican crossings, you might sometimes spot a flashing amber signal, which means that you should wait for pedestrians already on the crossing to make it to the other side.
In addition to a flashing amber signal, you might also encounter a solid amber or red light at a pelican crossing, which of course indicates that you should stop and wait for pedestrians to cross.
Occasionally, you might also encounter a zebra crossing. Without the benefit of a traffic signal, you must look out for pedestrians and stop to let them cross.
As you approach a set of traffic signals, remember to anticipate how they might change. A solid green signal might soon switch to red, and a solid red signal might soon switch to green.
At some junctions with traffic lights, you'll find an advanced stop line for bikes, with a box behind it that is usually red or green. These boxes are designed to help bikes stop at the front of the traffic queue.
Often there will be a feeder lane to help you reach the cycle box. While these feeder lanes can be really convenient, they also require you to be a bit more careful when crossing a junction, as drivers might not be aware of your position on the road.
If the signal happens to turn amber or red as you approach the junction, shift into the feeder lane and stop in the cycle box, if one's available.
Should you encounter a traffic queue as you approach the junction, you'll have to decide whether you have time and space to safely reach the front. If you're not sure, you can join the back of the queue.
When turning left at a traffic light, look behind and signal. To prevent traffic from overtaking you, you might want to guard the lane on your approach to the junction.
In particular, you might want to guard your lane against long vehicles like buses, the middle of which squeeze closer to the curb as they turn left.
But remember, if you have moved out to guard your lane against a large vehicle, you should also check over your left shoulder for bikes coming up on your left-hand side.
If your signal is green as you reach the junction and you need to go straight on, it's even more likely that you'll want to guard your lane. Although you have the right of way, there's no guarantee that at that moment everyone else will be following the rules, so always check for cross traffic on your approach.
When turning right at a traffic light, having looked, signalled and moved towards the middle of the road, you may need to give way to oncoming vehicles. In this situation, first pedal to the centre of the junction.
If no safe gap arises, wait until the oncoming traffic receives a red signal and stops. Quickly complete your right turn before any traffic crosses from the other end of the junction.
Sometimes you will come across a filter light, a green arrow pointing in a particular direction. When this arrow turns green, you should be able to go. Because traffic affecting your turn has a red light, you shouldn't need to give way.
In some cases, you'll have a choice of lanes, depending upon where you're headed.
Look for arrows painted on the road and road signs telling you which lane leads where.
If you need to change lanes, make sure it's safe to do so, and of course, signal everyone to let them know what you're about to do.
If you're riding in a cycle lane on a main road, be aware of gaps and queues of stationary traffic. Sometimes cars may use these gaps to turn across your path. They may not have seen you and you may not have seen them. When doing this, cycle at a safe speed, cover your brakes and be ready to stop.
Be aware that a driver might pull out in front of you at any time, even if they haven't signalled.
This might be because you're riding in that driver's blind spot, so always be ready to slow down if this happens.
It is especially important to stay out of the blind spot of a bus or a lorry.
Sometimes you might need to overtake one of these wide vehicles.
Before you do this, remember that the driver might not know that you are behind them. The rule of thumb is that if you can't see their wing mirrors, they can't see you.
To overtake the stopped vehicle, look over your right shoulder. If the road is safe, cycle around the vehicle, giving it a bit of a wide berth in case it suddenly decides to pull into traffic.
If the driver does signal a turn into traffic, just slow down and wait for the vehicle to move on.